Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi Project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives.
Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi Project. Today we have Angela Duncan, who's the owner, founder, CEO of EmpowerHer Money, which is right up my par of the type of people I want on our podcast. So I'm super excited to get to know her, her business, her mindset, and pick a little bit of her brain about her best practices in regards to money. Please tell our listeners, who are you, in a little bit more detail of what do you do, and let's get started.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be on your podcast. My name is Angela Duncan, and yes, I founded EmpowerHer Money last year after about 20 years of studying money, real estate investing, stock investing. I felt it was time for me to find a platform for me to give back to my community so that I can help other women in investing with their money.
Wow. Honestly, it's so refreshing to see women taking this leadership role when it comes to entrepreneurship, finances, money. So it just makes me so happy. I can't smile big enough to be interviewing women in regards to this topic, because a lot of times I interview men and I see and I hear men talking about it. Please tell us, before you said you've been in money, finance, real estate, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got started and what inspired you to start EmpowerHer Money?
Yeah, so I'm a survivor of childhood poverty. Here in the US, what that means is I grew up on Section 8 housing and welfare, so I did not get taught about money. And when I was old enough to move out of my home, I got my lease and I started my journey, and I wanted to learn more about money. I always thought as a kid, if I had money, then I'd be happier. You know, you could watch TV or see your friends and they look like they were happy because they had this thing called money, and I didn't know what it was. And so it took me 5 years to get through college, which was fine because I did have to work to pay for college and everyday life, and it kind of started me on that journey. So first, I thought I wanted to be an investor in the stock market, and I'm sure people can understand when you don't know what you're investing in, you can lose money, and that I did. My first investment, I lost 20%. It was pretty devastated, but I thought, okay. Yeah, so there's a lesson to be learned here. What is it, and what do I need to do differently next time? So I didn't want to stop investing, but I knew I had to become a student. So I learned more about stock market and investing. And that's kind of where I started into my real estate investing, because we have a little bit more control over real estate. I can't control what, Apple or Starbucks stock is going to do, but I can look at real estate and I can look at numbers and make a more educated guess. So that's when I switched into real estate investing. I would, buy single family homes and rent them out, and then continue to do research and learn from mentors and coaches. And I learned about insurance and taxes. And today I can help people invest not only in real estate, but also in tax liens, which is another avenue about real estate. But I had to become a student first and find the right mentors and coaches so that I can learn before I start teaching other people.
Wow. Okay, I love that. And there's so much to unpack there. So let me ask you some follow-up questions. So first, you said you went to college, but you made some bad investment decisions after that. You felt like you needed to learn more. What did you do to gain more education and knowledge and kind of that confidence to get back and invest more in the stock market?
Yeah, I worked for Bank of America at the time, and they had a whole division, that had financial advisors, that this was their job. It was their job to study the market. It was their job to help clients. So I just started asking questions. I think we are afraid sometimes to ask for help. And it's important to know that if you find people who look like that they're doing great or being successful in a specific field, ask some questions. I'm not going to go in and say, Ken and I have an hour of your time, because I know that their time is valuable. But when I see them, I'll ask them, what's going on in the market, or what's the first piece of advice you would give people when they're starting investing? And they love to teach. I think when you find people who are great at what they know, they're very passionate about teaching other people, and they're not afraid to answer questions as long as you're being respectful, right? And so that's kind of where I started. I started talking to two women. Jennifer was one and Antrice was another, and they seemed like they were just doing really well. So they taught me a lot about how to take care of your clients, to find out what your clients' needs were so that you can make sure you're giving them the right advice. And then they talked about the stock market and what they were seeing. So I was a student. As much as I could learn from them, I just wanted to absorb.
Wow, what a great avenue to take. You saw people, you're like, oh, they look like they have the lifestyle and they're the type of people I want to be like, so let me pick their brain. And honestly, that's so wonderful that you got that opportunity within your company or within your workplace, that you were there every day. You know, you can make friends, you can network. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us forget to do on the daily basis. We forget to kind of take advantage of the people around us. Not take advantage, but, you know, really like network and connect with the people around us that can help. And we kind of try to figure everything out on our own and online. That alone, I think it's amazing advice for our listeners to really take any opportunity they can see to try to network and find mentors. But you talked about asking one specific question, is what's the number one thing you would do or advice you would give to somebody who's new at investing, to your mentors? Now I'm going to ask you that same question. I think it's a very valuable question. So what is the number one advice you would give to our listeners today about investing?
Yeah, I recommend that you start with your retirement. You know, just like as a business owner, when we're running a business, it's good for you to understand what the end point is going to look like. Unfortunately, you know, in this country, we don't have a loan for retirement. You can get a loan if you want to buy a house, if you want to buy a car, if you want to go to school. You can even go to the bank and ask them for a credit card, which is absolutely not secured at all. But when it comes to retirement, there is no loan for that. And so, you know, Social Security is a great program that was invented a long time ago, but it definitely has not kept up to today's prices and what it costs to retire. So you really do have to think about your retirement planning first. But I'm also a big advocate of not having credit card debt. It's one of the most expensive ways you can borrow money today. You know, credit card interest rates are above 30%, late fees, and it can feel very overwhelming. So if you can not get into credit card debt first, awesome. But if you are in credit card debt, it really should be a focus of yours before even thinking about investing anywhere, is to make sure you get out of that high credit card debt first.
Yes, I definitely have to agree. I've been in credit card debt in the past, maybe like 9 to 10 years ago, when I was actually starting my company. And, you know, everything gets more expensive and it adds up, especially if you don't have a steady stream of income coming in when you start a new business and that's your only source of income. And I would say, looking back, I wasted so much money just on interest and everything, right? So a better route would be, like you said, try to get a loan, a good interest rate loan, based on what you want to do compared to getting into credit card debt. Now, it's easier said than done. I know that, and trying to get out of credit card debt it was very difficult at first. For me personally, I had to kind of make it my first priority. It was my first goal, and I started paying down the least amount of credit card I had. I didn't look at the interest. I just wanted less like stress on me. So if I had 5 cards, I paid off the one with the least amount of balance, and I just kind of forgot about it or even canceled it. Now, for somebody who's in that tough spot of being in credit card debt and barely making it like month to month, especially in today's market, what advice would you give to that listener?
Yeah, I love what you just said, because there's really 2 ways to tackle that credit card debt. You're going to look at what is your lowest balance and pay off that credit card first. And the reason why is because we live in this instant gratification. So it just feels good, right? Like accomplished a goal. Yes. I paid off one credit card, and it may not be the one that you're paying the most interest on, but once you have that feeling and how great it is to get rid of one credit card debt, then you're more likely to keep tackling it, right? But if you feel like you're very diligent and you can sit down and write a plan, then the other school of thought is to go after the one with the highest interest rate first, but it might be your biggest balance, so it could take you longer to pay it off. But you're tackling it quicker because of that interest rate, right? So that's kind of two schools of thoughts there. But look at what is in your credit card statement. When's the last time you printed it out and looked at it? I think a lot of people who get into credit card debt, they don't want to look at it. It's scary. You know, you feel like a failure. You're overwhelmed because you can't believe how you got into the situation. But if you start looking at your numbers in a credit card statement, I think you'll be surprised on how many things you're paying for that you actually don't need or don't even use anymore, right? Like how many subscriptions, how easy is it for us to get into subscriptions? So look at that credit card statement and then really tackle it and just make it like your biggest goal. Write it down so it's in your face, put it on your kitchen, put it in your bedroom, you know, everywhere. Get out of credit card debt. So it's just a constant reminder because I think when we tell our brains what to do, it looks for ways to do that. And that's such a great example because when, you know, we're actively seeking it, you'll be surprised on how quickly you're going to get yourself out of credit card debt.
Yeah, so I like to tie in kind of my personal experience with that too. So instead of for me to kind of focus on saying, okay, I'm going to get out of credit card debt, I like to do it switch it to the positive phrase, which is I'm going to be debt free, or I'm going to have, I don't know, what's a better way of stating, you know, I'm going to get out of credit card debt instead I'm not going to have any debt. Or no, I guess a better way to say it is that I'm going to live without paying interest. I don't know. I like to switch if I'm doing something into the positive instead of the negative. I think it makes my brain and it makes the law of attraction work with me to attract that instead of focusing on debt. Sometimes that creates like random situations or you get in more debt, just again from my experience. And it could be different from looking at it in a financial way and then, you know, the law of attraction spiritual way too, depending on what you believe. But I like to combine both of those. So again, if we are trying to get out of that, I think a good way to also like think about it is, yes, that's your number one focus, but don't only focus on, oh my God, I'm in debt. Oh my God, I'm in debt. Instead, it's the positive. Hey, I'm paying off my credit card one more payment at a time, you know, like I'm this much closer to being debt free instead of, oh, I'm in so much debt.
I like that too. For me, I would say like I'm one step closer to reaching my financial goals, you know, just kind of being
there you go. That's better.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a better way of saying it. I was getting a little brain fog right there. So now I have seen the background. So those of you that are listening only and you can't see video, she has a background of money souvenir. I was just very curious. I like to know people and what, you know, they do, especially part of your decor, and that's what you look at every day. So can you tell us a little bit about the significance or the specialness of the money you have behind you?
Yeah. So I teach that when you're investing, to take a small piece and invest in something you enjoy. You know, if you like to drink wine, maybe you have a wine collection. If you like cars, maybe you have a small car collection. Well, I teach money. I like money. And so I collect money. And one of my favorite things to collect
I love that.
it's old US dollars. So for those that might not know, it wasn't until 1929 when the entire US went to the same dollar bill. Before that, each state, each bank, they could have their own variations and they would have their own names on it. So like, you know, I was born in San Francisco. So Bank of Italy was in San Francisco and I have a dollar bill, an old one that says that on there. But it's just kind of cool to see.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's cool to see the history behind the dollar because it takes away the emotion piece of it and it reminds you it's just a tool. It does not care what you know. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, if you're in poverty now, it really does not matter. But it means that you can use this tool and learn how to use it correctly so that you can have a different lifestyle.
So talking more about money, it could be such a sensitive subject. Not a lot of people like talking about money, especially those that are not doing amazing or in their own definition of where they want to be with financially. Now, what are the 3 top things that you want to share with our listeners that could be almost like a block to having the right mentality towards money? So what are 3 negative or 3 wrong ways of thinking about money or handling money, and what are how can we correct those beliefs?
Yeah, so let's go with, I like your theme of 3 ways we can improve our money mindset.
Yes.
The first one is I'm not educated. Well, you can be. but it's going to take your own action to do that. We live in an era where you can go on YouTube, you can listen to podcasts like this one here, and you can learn so much information for free. So when we say we just don't know, it's because we haven't spent the time to educate ourselves, and that's very possible. So that's your first step, is to get educated. My second step is to remove anything that's not serving you. So we talked about subscriptions. There's an app called Rocket Money, and if you connect your credit cards and your bank statements to it, it'll tell you what subscriptions you're paying for right now. Look at that list. Get rid of anything that you don't need right now so you can start and really hammer out any debt you're in or any financial goals you want to achieve. Get rid of the stuff you don't need. We become such a consumer of stuff, of things that we don't need. It's so important for you to look at what's most important to you and remove anything that is not. The third one, our country is having issues with the lotto. And what I mean is people spend their cash. Thank goodness you can't buy this on credit cards, but they go and buy lotto tickets for the hopes that maybe someday they'll win. You have a better chance of, I don't want to put any negative stuff in here. I'm trying to give like a good example.
No, but, let's be super upfront and honest. We want to tackle this at the head, and we want people to make good financial decisions.
Right. So you have a better chance of being in an airplane, hit by lightning, over water, surviving a 12-day trip and making it back alive, right? The lotto is not meant for us to win. In fact, $113 billion is made from the lotto. So if you took it and made it a company, it would be one of the largest profitable companies in the world, right? So understand that. So stop spending money on stuff that doesn't serve you. Educate yourself, get rid of all of those subscriptions, stop spending money on lotto, and invest in your own self first so that you can teach everyone around you how to be a better person with this tool we call money and to become educated and have financial security, whatever that means to you.
Awesome. That's amazing advice. Was that the second one, I believe? Or no, that was your second or third already?
That was the third. So invest in education.
That was the third. Okay, let's summarize. Invest in education.
Yes.
Second.
Get rid of all of those subscriptions that are not serving you.
And third, don't waste money on the lotto.
Yes, it's not your ticket to financial freedom.
I love it. So simple yet so powerful. All right. So I like to get to know you personally a little bit. I love getting to know my guests. So for the audience that don't know you, what is one thing that actually most people don't know about you? So you do also run your own podcast, which is called EmpowerHer Money. But what is something that a lot of your listeners even don't know about you?
Yeah, a lot of times people, we get on these podcasts and they think that we're well spoken, right? And that maybe we've been doing this for years, but it wasn't until a little over a year ago that I gave myself permission to have a voice. I had spent a long time thinking that I should not be on stages. I didn't have anything to teach. No one would listen to me. And I finally had to change that narrative of myself. And that's when I launched the podcast, because I knew that I had something. I knew that I had information that just seemed easy to me, but it wasn't to everybody else. And so I encourage people that when you think about what it is that that seems like it's very simple or that it's easy to understand, it probably is to you, but it's not to the world around you. And each of us have a responsibility to share that gift with other people. So I had to learn how to speak on stages.
Wow.
I had to learn to be behind a camera and do a podcast. And now I can help impact people because I can teach you what I know.
I love that, and that is so, so important, and I want people to rewind and listen to that again. It's so empowering and so inspiring for people to hear that, because a lot of us do hold ourselves back with our beliefs and our limitations of what we're good at and what we're not good at. And I love that so much that you said, that's it, I'm done listening to myself, I'm changing my narrative, and I am going to be a good speaker because this is something I'm passionate about. I know I'm good at. You've studied this like your whole life to get to a place that you're going to be, and money is your topic. So I love I love that that's what you are using your voice to share, because we all can use more advice, more help, even more connecting, and more kind of like relating to others in their journey with money, because it's easy to see people doing great and being at the right place when they start talking about things, but it's hard to actually get there. So it's good that there are platforms to help people get there. And I encourage all my listeners to go check out her podcast. It is wonderful. Anyway, so super inspiring. I love that you did that for yourself. You changed your narrative. And I tell a lot of people that too. Just because we believe something, we think something, it's not true. It's just what has been embedded in our brain, our programming based on our past, based on our childhood, based on whatever reason from the outside. But deep inside, we can give ourselves whatever story and whatever narrative we want, and we can change to be that person. Now, moving on to get to know you better. So what is one challenge that you had? And, we're talking about money, so we're going to stick to the money topic. So what is your biggest financial or money challenge you've had in the past, and what did you do to overcome it?
Oh, I'll use a recent example. I've been divorced now for 3 years. And when you're used to, I was married for quite a long time. So when you're used to having two incomes and, kind of two brains and two strategies, we built companies together. You don't always think about what your strengths are because you work together. And what I learned from now, running my own company and not having that +1 with his strengths is that there were quite a few things that I was not good at. And I either had to learn them or I had to hire them out. And for me, the best thing to do was to hire them out. And while that might cost you... I love
that decision.
Yeah, so it might cost you some money, but really it's me investing in my company because I'm investing in someone else's strength to help me reach more people. And so when you look at it from a business owner perspective, you can't always think of that as an expense item. For me, it's an investment. I'm investing in my company by paying someone else to do the things they're great at because I'm not great at it. And I had to give myself permission to be able to do that. But now I understand what I'm really good at, and I really focus on those strengths and allow for someone else on my team to help me with the things that I'm not great at.
Again, another wonderful, wonderful thing you just said for our entrepreneurs that are listening. It is the number one mistake, I want to say, that small business owners make when it comes to asking for help and hiring for help. We want to be as profitable as possible. We want to do it all. Anyways, entrepreneurs have this brain where they're hard workers. They want to do it all. They want to learn it all. They're curious. So that's the number one mistake we make, is by trying to do everything ourselves and not asking for help. Because like you said, there's no way that we can have strengths in all areas. And I learned that the hard way too. I had to hire out in so many different things. And I got one very costly lesson a couple of years ago. My business was doing really, really, really well. But then I started my journey of being a mother, and I had 3 kids back to back. At that point, I should have hired out and got a different CEO for my company, because they would have probably done a better job and focused on it, and they had different strength compared to me trying to balance wanting to be there 200% with my kids and be there for my company. So my company did suffer, and we had to make recent changes and try to cut down costs because of it. So I like to share that because, like you, how you talk about money, I love talking about entrepreneurship and combining it with our personal life. And I hope other people can learn from my mistake and not make the same mistake, because I do think we can have it all, but we cannot do it all. We definitely need help. We need a team, and hiring employees is the best way to do that. And again, you are so well spoken and you give such good advice, even for other entrepreneurs, not only in regards to money, based on your journey of how you got to where you are today. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, the next question would be for you right now, and I'm sure this changes throughout our life based on where we get. What does a happy and fulfilled life look like to you today? And what did it look like to you in your early 20s?
Yeah, so today my daughter's in college and I'm very proud of her. So I'm an empty nester. I love having free time and flexibility. So having a business that allows for me to not be tied to an office or go to an office every day is important to me. And that's what makes me happy. So to be able to travel or to take time off to volunteer or to go help someone, having that freedom and that time is so important to me. Time is our most valuable asset, and you have to choose what to do with it every day. And I like that I have the flexibility with what we do today to be able to kind of, have a coffee with someone if I need to. But that flexibility piece is so important to me. So that would be my answer for today.
I love that. Okay, how about for your early 20s? This is maybe before you knew so much about money and you did everything that you did today. What did happiness look like to you back then and fulfilled life?
So much different. Before I had my daughter, what happiness meant for me was working 3 jobs, 7 days a week, because that meant I had money in my bank account. That meant that I could pay my bills every month. I didn't have much extra at the time because I didn't quite know what I was doing as far as work was concerned. But I needed to have that savings account, because when you grow up without money and not having money, then that sense of security comes from that savings account. So quite a difference as it was today, but that definitely was important to me in my early 20s.
Awesome. Now, since we did mention savings account, what are your thoughts about having a savings account, and about how much money should you aim for to have sitting there? Because also putting too much cash in a savings account, it's not a good idea, because it loses money. It loses value over time because of the inflation. So can you talk a little bit about what your strategy is about savings account and how can people get there?
Yeah, I'm in line with most of the professionals on this. If you have a W-2 job, meaning you have a paycheck that comes to you as the same paycheck every month, 3 months should be enough for you. When you're trying to tackle your credit card debt, you might want to put a little bit more in savings, because I don't want you to get further into credit card debt, right? Car breaks down, you need new tires. Let's not use the credit card for that. So if you're in credit card debt, 4 months. If you are a commission person, meaning your paycheck might vary from month to month, I like to keep a little bit more, so 4 or 5 months for a commission person, just in case. I mean, we hit COVID. We all know what could happen with just one thing that changes everybody's world, right? So having 4 to 5 months is important, but also giving yourself permission. This is a savings account. It belongs to you, and when you need it, use it. It's okay. That's why you put it there, and just replenish it. Because so many times I will see people put money into a savings account and they're like, oh, I can't touch that. It's my savings account. Well, you can, because that's the purpose. It's there for you for when you need it. But if you don't need it, just let it grow. And then anything above that is when you start investing.
Wow, awesome. Now, as far as having a savings account and trying to pay down credit card debt, you said you still would advise people to first have that savings cushion so you don't have to worry about an emergency, and then with the remainders, tackle your debt, and then obviously invest after you don't have debt.
Yeah, and people tell you all the time, shop around for your interest rate on a savings account. You can open an online savings account, and you still want to make that money work as hard as possible for you. A great website for that is bankrate.com. No affiliation for me, but what it does is it shows you the difference is in what different banks are paying as far as interest rate. So why not use the one that's giving you the most money to park your money there? That's a great way for you to earn some extra income while you're, working on your other financial goals.
Awesome. Now, we also talked about lifestyle and fulfilled day for you, and you like having the freedom, but obviously in order to have the freedom and kind of take it as you need your day to be, you do have to have money coming in. Again, since it is a money episode, how have you set up your money streams, or what can you tell our listeners as far as your approach to having different streams of income coming in so you can have the lifestyle that you have today?
Yes, I'm a big believer in you have one primary income. That should be most of your focus. So whether that's your job or your business, this is your primary income. Now, you can also have other revenue streams. I personally believe in real estate over anything else, stock market, anything like that. So real estate is important for me, but I also want to think about maybe I'm going to get a side job. Maybe something else is going to be important for me that I can look to, do as a fun hobby or something like that, right? So if there's something that you enjoy doing, like cooking or something else like that, then you can definitely think about doing that on the weekends to earn some extra money and have some fun with it. But if you're going to do that, have some fun with the money too. I know you're probably working on your goals, you're working on that debt, but if you're working extra, then spend a little bit on yourself and reward yourself because it'll make you feel better. It's an unselfish thing for you to do. And then that way you're just, you're happy. I'd rather you be happy than completely miserable and working on debt.
Yes, and I love that you share that. It is so important. I've learned along the way with money management or with just anything money mentality that you do have to reward yourself. So what I personally do is on my calendar, it's a calendar item, every month on the 10th, I literally have a reminder that says buy something expensive to treat yourself because I want, if it's an experience, if it's a material thing, whatever it is, I literally do that monthly to just basically give myself a reward for doing good in all the other areas that I'm working hard in. And again, it could look different for everybody, and you can still put a budget on that thing, but you do want to do something for yourself to almost have fun with your money. And this comes with kind of the mentality of, we want it to be positive and not negative, so you can attract more money too.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that.
What do you do to treat yourself? What are your fun ways of spending your money?
See, I think I'm continually working on my psychology part of my brain too. Money mindset is going to forever be something I work on because where I came from. But because as a child, I didn't have clothes, I didn't have shoes. My habit or my reward for myself is shoes. I am a big shoe person. I would rather buy shoes than, Starbucks or fancy cars or whatever, but shoes are important for my budget, but I make sure that it fits in my budget too. That's my reward.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I would like to see your shoe collection. All right. So going back to the avenues of income. So you talked about you want to have a main job, maybe a side hobby that can earn you some job. You personally like to invest in real estate. That's how you get more income. And then stock market. You mentioned the stock market, but what were your thoughts about that today? Based on how shaky things are?
I'm in it for my retirement account. So no matter what is going on in the environment, I'm in it for a long term. It's a small piece of my portfolio, but I still believe, we're consumers, we're going to buy things, and hopefully the companies can run themselves as a profitable business for the most part. But I do believe in the stock market, but I have a financial advisor that I hire for that because I don't pay attention to the stock market. I hire someone else that will do that for me and invest hopefully wisely for me too.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about morning, day, night routines. Again, I love talking about this for entrepreneurs because one of the benefits of having one of the disadvantage of having a free schedule and you could do whatever you want with your time is having to manage it fully yourself. Nobody is telling you what to do, when to do it. So how do you manage your day? Well, if we were to follow you around for a day or a week, I know your days might vary. What does a typical morning routine, night routine look like for you?
Yeah, I am a big believer in controlling my time. So the way that I start my day is not with my phone, not on social media. I journal first. So I want to know, what is it that I'm currently working on? What are my goals? And what am I grateful for? And it can be the tiniest of things. We live in this country where we can turn on the faucet and have running water just by turning on a faucet. Not everyone gets to experience that. So I believe in starting my day in the most positive manner, which is writing in my journal and being grateful for what I have in life. I also end my day in a positive way. I like to watch funny videos. I don't have Netflix or Hulu, any of that stuff. So I turn on YouTube, which is free, and I watch, anything from Impractical Jokers. There's a show called Ridiculousness, but it's just little clips of it and it's free. But then I end my day on a positive note. So I started in a positive manner. I end on a positive manner. Whatever happens during the day, I have no control over most times, but at least I can control how I start and end my day.
I totally love that. Honestly, that could really set up your day and set you up for a good night of sleep, to set you up for the next day to be a good, positive day. Because the way we wake up and the way we literally start our day, it sets us up for the rest of the day, if we're going to have a good day or a bad day. And if we don't have a nice kind of feeling and nice way to start our day that makes us happy, it does end up going in the negative spiral throughout the day. And honestly, I love how simple you kept that. Some people say, I wake up, I do this, I do that, and it's like a whole list, and it sounds more overwhelming than than fun, right? So I'm like that too. I do like to do certain things, but I like to keep it super simple and fun. I don't care what's advised and what, the top people are doing as far as health or fitness or meditation. We have to do what works for us. And I think you gave the main key point. You want to, whatever it is, you want to make sure it's resulting in you starting your day in a happy manner. If you set these unrealistic expectations of a fantastic morning that you think is the right thing to do, but you're angry or you're mad or you're disappointed that you're not getting to, let's say, to the exercise portion of your morning, then you're not going to have a good day, right? Now, as far as managing personal life and work life, what are some or having the freedom of schedule, what are some practices you put in place for time management, as far as like calendars, reminders, or what are some of the tools you use to kind of be on top of yourself, to manage yourself?
Yes, I have one calendar for everything. Business and personal all goes on one calendar. And I believe in the power of yes. So when you're clear on your goals, whether it's financial or in your business, your brain is really looking for those opportunities, right? So I learned to say yes to the right opportunities, which kind of fills my calendar. And then I have to say no to the opportunities that are not right for me right now. And it's easy for me to say to someone, thank you so much for the invite. That's not a focus of my business right now. So unfortunately, not the right time, and my calendar is completely full, which is true for the most part. But I'm a stickler when it comes to my calendar. I do schedule personal time. I do schedule workout time. I make sure that my family's involved in every area possible. I take my daughter on trips with me so that she can learn. But it's important for me to have everything in one place, because I feel organized. And when I feel organized, I feel like the best version of myself is showing up.
I love that. Now, do you sit down like on a Sunday or on a Monday and plan out your week, or how do you go about it? Is it kind of a set routine? It's like, okay, Mondays it's my personal day, Tuesdays my podcast day. How do you manage it all?
Outside of the podcast, which is on Thursdays, that's when I do my recordings. The rest of the week, it falls into whatever I'm currently working on. I do look at it on Sundays just to get an idea of what's going on for the week. But I tackle each day as it comes, because otherwise it becomes super overwhelming. And then I'm not the best version of myself when I'm working with people.
Awesome. Now, going back to getting to know you even more, just the first thing that comes to mind is, if you had a magic wand and you can change anything in the world, what would that be?
I feel like I want everybody to be happy. And so if I could, if I'm out in the store and I can kind of tell someone maybe isn't in a great mood, maybe they're having a bad day, and who knows what happened in their life, we never know, right? So if you have a wand and you kind of just tap someone and it's like, turn that frown upside down, and now it becomes a smile and they feel happy. I mean, I think that would be so much fun.
Oh my gosh, that's the best goal. I mean, honestly, I've been obsessed with money and happiness for a long time, and that's what I've been studying. And it's just crazy how everything, literally, that's what we want. We want happiness. We just don't know what leads to that for certain people, right? We all need to get to know ourselves better to be able to be happy. But a lot of times we think we're going to be happy based on what other people are doing or what the society is telling us that's going to make us happy. And that's kind of the bad thing about advertisement, because we get tricked into thinking certain things means happiness. But with that said, yeah, I think everybody needs to spend time getting to know them, and that's like the best thing you could change to make everybody happy. All the problems would go away. We are running a little bit short on time, so before we let you go, let me pick your brain a little bit more about money. So is there a book, or what's the number one book in regards to money or finance that you would recommend to our listeners?
Yes, I'm very much a system and process. So instead of someone just writing a book and giving you motivation, I want details and I want action items. So Wealth
I love
Habits.
that.
Yeah, Wealthy Habits by Candy Valentino. It's only a couple years old, but she takes each chapter by like what she's teaching. So yes, she does get into the money mindset, and that's important. But if you want to, invest in real estate, if you want to do your retirement investing, it gives you real steps to think about and to implement in your strategy. And that's what I like about her book, because she broke it down into details.
Wow, I love that. Well, that's actually one I haven't read, and I want to say I read almost like all the money books out there. So I'm excited to pick that one up and see what I think about it. But thank you for sharing that. As far as just everything you've learned along the way, right? Based on how you grew as a person, how you grew as an investor, what do you think are the 3 most common mistakes people make with their money?
One is not doing their research and kind of investing in things because it sounds hot right now, like crypto. For me, I'm not an investor in crypto because I've not studied it. I don't understand it. And so I don't recommend that you invest in something you don't understand. A lot of times people will just say, hey, my friend said to invest in X. Well, how do you know if that's right for you? Have you spoken to someone that is knowledgeable enough to teach you? So I think that's one mistake. We already talked about the credit card thing. I'm going to keep hammering it because I truly believe that's one problem in this world, or at least in the US, that we can solve, right? It's not like a rare disease that we don't understand. Credit card debt, we understand and we can get out of it. So I'm going to keep hammering on that. And 3 is thinking that it's too late. It's not too late. Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, you can always start somewhere. And that's the key, is you've got to start, right? It's never too late.
Now, if you were to do it all over again, so you started your podcast, EmpowerHer Money, and that's your business. If you could do it all over again, your journey with learning about money, doing your own thing and all of that, what is one thing that you would do differently?
I would have bought more real estate in the late 2008, 2009, 2010. I was scared, and you could buy a house in Tampa for like $30,000, $40,000, and it would be currently worth 10 times, maybe 15 times that.
Wow.
So when you see a market trend, you've got to trust in yourself and really take action. I knew real estate. I had been in real estate for a while at that time, but I was scared. I was scared that it could go down further, but I should have just looked at the numbers. You buy a $30,000 house and you rent it, cash flows. That's the logic behind it. And I got too emotional and didn't buy enough property.
So I guess if something terrifies you, don't listen to yourself. Look at the numbers again and reconsider and make the jump.
Yes.
All right. So before we close, can you tell our listeners where can they find you and how do you like to connect with people?
Yeah. So EmpowerHer Money is my brand. That's the podcast, Instagram, TikTok, or you can just go to EmpowerHerMoney.com and learn more about me.
Awesome. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you. Now, what are your last words of encouragement and your farewell message to our listeners?
Yeah, so I want to thank the listeners for taking the time and investing in their education is what they're doing right now. Don't stop doing that. Keep doing that. And then apply what you've learned to your life so that you can be that change. And if you're the change, people are watching. They're going to watch and want to know what you're doing, and you can teach them and pay it forward.
Awesome. I love that so much. Again, Angela, thank you so much for your time. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. I love the mission that you're on to spread education and knowledge about money, because I know it's a big stress factor in a lot of people's day-to-day life. So thank you again for what you do and how you serve others. And until next time, I'll connect with you online. Bye, Angela.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you to our listeners.
Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.